What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to go over how I like to set up my lever arm belt squat that I have here in the home gym. I'm using the Bells of Steel sliding lever arms. If you have anything similar like that, the setup's going to work really well. Even if you have a more traditional lever arm that doesn't slide, this setup should still work fine. It's just going to take a little bit more tinkering with the setup in the right spot. So a lot of people have used lever arms for belt squats plenty of times. I'm not really reinventing the wheel here doing that, but what makes mine a little bit different is specifically how I use a hammock strap to get it set up in position to where you can start from the top instead of having to start from the bottom, which is the worst spot to start in a belt squat or squat period, as we all know. So I've got my laptop here. I'm just going to reference from some of the clips I've taken of the setup. So as you can see here, I slide the lever arm down into position. I'm putting mine as low on the rack as I can while still getting it locked in to one of the holes there. I find that position makes it to where you're not getting too big of an arc in the movement where it's getting, a lot easier or harder at the bottom or at the top. I find that's a pretty even spot for the placement. So what I'm doing is I'm using 2 weight horns, and this is a solution that I found from a guy on here who goes by Home Gym Athletics. I'll make sure to link him in the video or the description. Shout out to him for this idea. These are 2 weight horns that I have here that I am screwing together horizontally. I've also done the 1 weight horn vertically, and that works fine too. But anytime that you vertically or top load weight, it's just more of a pain having to use spacers to get your fingers in between them to get them up. And the side loading works a lot better while still giving you room to perform the movement and not limit range of motion, as you'll see here in a minute. So I'm loading them on the side here. Now I'm using hitch pins at the very end of the lever arm to be able to lock myself in with the belt. So I use 2 hitch pins here. And what I do is I go one upside down, so that's got the red handle at the bottom there. That's what I'm going to loop the belt through. You could do it through the top, but since it's just got that little pin at the end of the hitch pin there to keep it in place, I'd rather throw it on the bottom to where the actual arm is supporting it instead of just that little pin. So I load it from the bottom, and that's where I'm going to hook the belt in. Now this next one, I am putting in just 1 hole in front of it into the side position. That's actually where I'm going to clip in the hammock strap for the support to where you can get in and out from the top, and you'll see that here in a minute. So I've got that guy clipped in now. So you can see here now I'm breaking out the hammock strap, which is connected to the top of the rack, just looped around the pull-up bar there. And these things are rated at like 500 pounds each, so it's not going to go anywhere. And I'll also link in the description the exact hammock strap I'm using. And again, that's another idea from Home Gym Athletics, so big shout out to him. And I'll go more in depth on how much I'm liking these hammock straps in a later video, because I do think they're fantastic for home gym use. So anyway, I've got the hammock strap. I'm clipping one end of it into the hitch pin there. That's the very end of the hammock strap. And this is just to make sure that the hammock strap stays attached to the lever arm throughout the movement and doesn't fall away. This isn't the actual part that we're going to lock in and lock out of. So I've got another clip, which for me is, I think, 5 holes up from this big section of just the logo that doesn't have any holes on it. That 5th hole for me I found is perfect to set up in this position as you're seeing me do here. Clip it in, and now you can see it's just resting on the support of the hammock strap and not the hitch pin that's attached to the lever arm carriage that was keeping it in place. Speaking of that pin, make sure that you take it out before you get the dip belt on and actually set up to perform your squat. That's a mistake I make like 50% of the time. So make sure you remember to take that out. Otherwise, when you unclip the hammock strap and go to squat down, that hitch pin is just going to stop you. And then you're going to have to reset up, be annoyed, break it back down, and it's a whole thing. So make sure you take that hitch pin out. Once that guy is out, you're pretty much good to go. You can start loading up plates on here like you see me doing now. Just throwing a plate on here of each side to demo. And then you just I'm taking a standard dip belt here. I've got the chain hooked up to my right length for this. I'm locking it in through the handle of that bottom hitch pin and then squatting down and getting in position. And this is what's so great about the hammock strap setup, is that I don't have to squat way down to get into position. This is more like how you would set up a traditional squat, like a barbell squat or a dedicated lever belt squat machine that allows you to just get down a little bit. That way you can stand up and unlock it, and then you're good to go. So I'm making sure that the chain is short enough to where the lever arm is pretty up close. Obviously, you don't want to get it too up close and personal, but I want it to stay fairly close to me. That way when I squat down, it's not bottoming out on the floor and causing a shortened range of motion. So that's the setup there. Once you stand up, you just unclip just the one carabiner clip. The other one stays on the hitch pin there to where it's not floating away from you. I keep a hand on the hammock strap itself, same thing, so that it stays nearby and doesn't get in the way. And then you're just performing the squat. As you can see here, I can get a good, deep, full range of motion squat. The little bumper on the bottom of the lever arm does tap the floor at my max range of motion, but it doesn't prevent any range of motion. So I think this setup works really well. And you can see too that even with loading the weights horizontally, as long as you find the right spot on the lever arm, you can still get the full range of motion without the plates touching. For me, I found that number 9 on the side is what's perfect on my lever arm. It seems to be roughly halfway up. You'll have to play with yours if your lever arm is a little bit different and has a different hole spacing. But I've found that that's perfect for me. Allows for much easier on and off with the plates. Is just above the floor so it doesn't touch and reduce that range of motion. And then once you're done, you just stay standing, clip back in, squat down a little, and take yourself out of the belt. And that's pretty much the setup. Like I said, this isn't anything revolutionary as far as using a lever arm for a belt squat. And in fact, I'm sure other people have done similar things with hammock straps or even just a chain to keep the lever arm in position for starting and breaking back down. But I haven't seen a ton of people doing this, so I kind of wanted to put that idea out there, and maybe that'll give you some ideas for how you want to do it in your own home gym space. I think this works fantastic. If you are worried about the weight capacity of the hammock strap, super easy solution is instead of using the one, just use both hammock straps side by side, clipped in the same system. That's going to give you double the support. But you know, I've got a clip here of me doing a work set in my last workout with them. This is 4 plates each side, which of course it's not 1-to-1 with it being halfway down the lever arm. I wouldn't say it's quite 50% of the weight, but probably only about 60-65% of the actual load on there is being bared by the hammock strap and by you as well. And that's still well under the 500-pound weight capacity that these things are rated for. So even one, I don't think you're going to run into any issue at all. But if you are a little nervous about it, just double up the hammock straps. They come 2 to a pair, 2 to a set anyway, and you're going to be more than fine. And yeah, I think this works great. It definitely blasts the quads every time I do this. With the weight horns the way they are, I've got the 12-inch weight horns on each side. And even with 4 plates per side, as you can see here, I've still got plenty of room for loading up more as that gets stronger. So I don't think you're going to run out of space for training your legs on this. So yeah, that's how I'm doing my lever arm belt squat. Again, using the Bells of Steel Hydra sliding lever arms, which I've really loved. We'll probably do a review on those specifically at some point. And yeah, leave a comment letting me know if you have any ideas for how I could modify this design, make it better, or if you find this useful. And please like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And thanks for listening. I'll catch you guys later.